Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast, brought to you by DraftKings, America's #1 sports betting app. Go ahead and hop on right there, and DraftKings got a lot of great stuff going on. And hit subscribe for the AZ Wildcats podcast. All right, now joined by very special guest, Mr. Tyler Powell from Brophy Prep, 6'7", tight end. A guy that had a lot of offers, could have gone to a lot of different places, and we're going to get to everything. But first and foremost, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So let's kind of take us through a little bit, and we'll kind of go backwards then into, your football odyssey. But, looking at it, you had offers from some pretty big time schools. You look at it, you have an Auburn, you have a Florida State, schools like that. You had an ASU. What made you look at Arizona and say, that's the school that, I want to play for? That's where I want to be able to progress.
So it started with, Coach Powell at UNLV. They recruited me pretty early on in the recruiting process. And so I had already built up a relationship. And then when he moved over to U of A, we already had that chemistry going. And he was really, him and the coaches really showed me a lot of love over there. And so, it was really something special. They had been recruiting me really hard, ever since the beginning, ever since Coach Powell moved over to U of A. So, and, obviously it's close to home, only a couple hours away. So, it'll be nice that my family's able to come to the games, every Saturday and watch me play. But overall, the love that they show me there was it was unparalleled. And I think it was really something special, and definitely was a big factor in me going over there.
That's something that we hear kind of time and time again with, some of the recruits that we've had on that, they've really received a lot of love from the coaching staff. They really made them feel wanted. How has that played out? Just constant communication from the coaches? What exactly have they done behind the scenes?
Yeah, really. It's just like, they're always communicating with me, always, getting me fired up for the season and what we're going to do when we get down there. And really it's, for my class, it's been all about rebuilding and being able to be part of the new legacy of the program. And I think that's like a one in a lifetime opportunity that I get to be a part of, which is also something really special. So.
Okay, so let's go through the recruiting process then. You're obviously a Phoenix native. Was ASU a school that, you seriously considered? And then talk a little bit about, Auburn, Florida State. There's some other big time schools you had right there, Tyler.
Yeah, so I got Auburn pretty early on. I think that was my freshman year. Mm-hmm. And I actually didn't really talk to them that much.
Right.
Same with ASU. That was later on in my recruiting process. They didn't really communicate with me as much as U of A did.
Right.
And so from the beginning, I was pretty committed early on. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So ASU kind of came on later then?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about your game then. So anybody that's looked at your highlights, you're huge. We talked about it a little bit off camera, but you're 6'7", but you might even be a little bit off. Why don't you fill people in right there, Tyler?
I think in my last physical, I was like 6'7.5" or something like that. Don't quite remember, but yeah.
Right. Okay. So have you always been, now, when you look at your body, when you look at how you move out there, you're obviously a really, really good athlete. So was football always your main sport, or was, how did that really play out?
Football actually wasn't my main sport. Going into high school, I didn't really know I was going to play football. I played a little bit in like 4th and 5th grade. But it kind of fizzled out. And then, in high school, I picked it up and I just developed a love for it. And, it kind of just went on from there. But going into high school, I was really I really wanted to be a baseball player because, that's what my dad did. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to play football for the fun of it. And it ended up being, really fun for me. And I ended up fitting in really well. So it just kind of picked up from there.
What was it like growing up in a family where you obviously have some pretty good athletes in it?
It was pretty cool. I had a lot of opportunity to play any sport I wanted. I was a 3-sport athlete, at the beginning of high school. And, when I was younger, I was able to try out pretty much any sport I wanted. And, having my dad, having those connections was really helpful for my family as well.
Right, for sure. Okay, so in Phoenix right now, Brophy Prep, when I was growing up, Brophy was it. That was the absolute school. That's where all the kids went. Phoenix is now a lot bigger, than it was. You've obviously you've got the Saguaros, you got the Chaparrals. Were you always going to go to Brophy? How did that play out? Because I know it's different now with kids going into high school than it was 15 years ago.
So I lived in Anthem, which is a little town like up north. It's like 30 miles up north or something. And I didn't really know about Brophy until I was in like 7th or 8th grade. We had a family friend whose son went there and said that he really liked it. And my parents really liked it for me. And so I visited it, and, I loved it. And I saw myself fitting in there well. And that's how I ended up there. So.
Okay, so you get to Brophy then, and you can play a lot of different sports. Now, take us through a little bit though about when you decided and why you decided to start focusing on football for some of the reasons we talked about off camera.
So I remember the basketball team during the summer would lift with the football team, and the head freshman football coach, Coach Heidemann, would always talk to us about like not putting your eggs in one basket, and so. It was something that I really wanted to do because I saw it as an opportunity to like make friends, and I wanted to try it out again because I had other family like my cousins who played football, and I wanted to try it out again. And so yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I went out there and just did whatever the coaches asked me to.
What was did they put you at tight end immediately? Was that always your favorite position? Where were you at?
So I actually was quarterback at first because I'm a pitcher in baseball. So, I thought I could, just throw the ball around and be a quarterback. But then, one practice, they wanted me to go be a wideout and see how I could catch the ball, and it ended up working out with me. So pretty much my whole freshman year, I was actually a receiver. And then towards the end of the season, when we would get into like 2 tight end sets, I would be that tight end. And, I really enjoyed being in the middle, running routes up the middle and, blocking in the trenches a little bit. And so I kind of was able to embrace that role. And then that's kind of like what I ended up doing for the rest of high school. And I love it. So.
Now, did tight end come pretty easily to you then?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I think it was the most natural position for me to play, for sure.
So now that you're obviously you achieve your dream, everybody wants to be a Power 5, football player, and not a lot of people get it. So you've gotten that first step. What would you say right now to the fans, that are, watching, they're going to listen to the podcast? What are some of the strengths to your game right now? What are some things that you're going to work on and, before as you head into college?
I think the key, as a tight end is to be be a sponge and be as versatile as possible. As a tight end, it's really important that you're able to not only receive in the passing game, but also block for the run game. And that's a thing that's really ignored, really blocking for tight end. Right. That's not, there's no really stats for your blocking. And so it's a really, it's people look past it, but it actually is like a really important factor when it comes to playing a tight end. So.
Okay. I wanted to take you through a couple different avenues right here. First and foremost, Arizona right now, or at least in the past, Jedd Fisch has certainly changed that, has not done a great job of recruiting in state. The guys like you, when Arizona's been good in the past, have kind of been the backbone of what Arizona's been, the kids that have some legitimate offers, but decide to be able to come to Tucson. Is that something that you could see maybe, starting a little bit of a train heading to Tucson with some of the good Phoenix kids?
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like, everybody, we all trust Coach Fisch, what he's doing. It's really a pro style team, and it's, really well coached. And, I think if we all trust what he can do, then, why not? Why not go down and do something?
Okay. So now when do you arrive at the U of A again?
June 6th is when I go down there.
Okay. So have you, are you coming here then basically just as a tight end? I had a couple different people say, man, with his kind of length and, with his kind of arm length, that's a guy that could be a tackle. How do they see you fitting in?
Well, as of now, they've talked to me as only being a tight end, so, but, I'm cool with whatever they want me to do. But, as of right now, I think they just want me to be in a tight end.
Okay. Did you have who's your favorite player in the NFL?
I don't know who my favorite player is. I don't really have a favorite player, but I think George Kittle's my favorite player just because of the way he acts when he gets a pancake.
Right. Dude, this is going to be great because like a couple of the commenters have already mentioned too, a tight end that loves to block. We've had tight ends be on in the past. Generally it's about catching the ball, but that's the kind of the way it is. Now, KB Thiel says, what's your favorite team?
I'm a Cardinals fan, just, being from here. Unfortunately, a couple weeks ago didn't end how we wanted, but yeah, I would say I'm definitely a Cardinals fan.
Okay. Was there anybody growing up that you kind of, you kind of patterned your game after? Was it George Kittle or, what was that like?
Honestly, not really. I just kind of, I didn't really have like a role model in terms of somebody who played in the NFL. Like as I said, I started in high school, so it was pretty much all about baseball for me. So when I started playing as a tight end, I kind of just, I was kind of doing my own thing. I didn't really, try and model myself after, somebody who was in the NFL. So
what kind of goals do you have set for yourself, if any, when you at the U of A?
I don't know. I just want to, really be a big part of the team and, be able to contribute as much as possible and, as much as the coaches want me to.
Okay. And then, one last thing before we let you go. So what do you want to major in? What if football doesn't work out? Where does Tyler Powell, where would you like to see yourself in 10 years?
I don't exactly know. I think I would want to like run like my own gym or something. I'm really passionate about that kind of thing. Like working out, not just for football. I really enjoyed, just working my body and stuff like that. So I could definitely see myself running like a gym someday.
Right. All right. You got a message for any of the U of A fans out there, Tyler?
I do. Class of 2022 is coming in hot.
My man, we appreciate you, bro. And we'd love to have you on before you step foot on campus again. This has been fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks again. That's Tyler Powell, tight end from Brophy Prep, big 6'7" guy coming in. And again, that's what's cool here on the AZ Wildcats podcast is being able to get guys like Tyler on there to be able to talk about, what they see. And I think it's absolutely fantastic too when he said 2022 is coming in hot, because that really is the way it is. Now, one thing real quick, and we're going to get to that 2022 class, is the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Code word PHNX. Here's the deal. You throw down $5 on an NFL game, and guess what? If that team wins, you get $280 in free plays. That simple, that easy. I've been on it saying, you know what? Pick the Packers. The 49ers have Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going into Lambeau. You got Aaron Rodgers on the other side. That's going to be a really easy pick for you to be able to make. That's where I would go anyway if it was my money. So, again, 21 and up, Arizona only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. New customers only. If you have a gambling issue, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. They will get you all set up, and they'll get you right back out there and get you ready for everything that you basically need. But again, check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app. All right, Tyler is an interesting guy right here, and I'm glad we were able to get him on because Arizona in the past has not recruited Phoenix very well. Outside of when Dick Tomey was here, Arizona recruited Phoenix pretty well, as did ASU. But since the Dick Tomey era, you really haven't seen Arizona recruit Phoenix very well. And with as loaded as Phoenix is, as many players as there are out there, you've got to be able to recruit it. Now, again, I don't need to be able to get every, Keely Ringo and guys like that. But if there's a really good, 3-star kid that's got the potential to be able to play at a lot of different schools, like Tyler Powell right there, you 100% need to be able to get that kid. And this is the kind of kid that in the past Arizona hasn't been able to get. And I think that's what's fascinating about seeing Tyler on here is, okay, what made you want to be a Wildcat? And the thing time and time again that they keep saying is, I trust Jedd Fisch. I look at Jedd Fisch and I think to myself that that's the guy that can help me get to the next level. They stay in constant communication with me. That's what you want to see from guys like for a Tyler Powell. Now, I think the hope is that Arizona gets this thing rolling. Again, bringing in kids like a Tyler Powell, bringing in, obviously, we've got a lot of high 4- and 5-star kids coming in from California, but getting into Phoenix is the next step. Jedd Fisch has already shown that he can recruit California. And as we know, that's a really good place to be able to recruit. But the next avenue is then Phoenix. You've got to be able to get in there. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 6th largest metropolitan area in the entire country. And it's not like when I was growing up where you had you would have 10 Division I athletes, Power 5 type guys. Now you look at, whatever ranking you want to go by, 24/7 or Rivals, and you can have 45, 50 kids that are Power 5 good. And you got to be able to get the kids in there that you look at and say, okay, they would be a good fit. And I think that Tyler Powell is certainly that type of guy. And it's going to be exciting to see what he can do here. All right, wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up, obviously, on the COVID vaccine. Everybody knows what's going on with COVID. So children 5 and up are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is the best way to keep everybody healthy, to be able to reduce the risk of hospitalization, getting sick, and it's safe, it's free, it's highly effective. The COVID-19 vaccines are available throughout Arizona. Visit azhealth.gov, findvaccine.com for all the details. Again, we all know somebody that has been adversely affected by COVID. If you can get the vaccine, I would urge you to go ahead and get it because, it's certainly a way to be able to mitigate some risk involved right there. So again, if you can, check that out. All right. Tyler Powell was absolutely fantastic, especially joining us here on a Saturday. Just want to give you a quick little preview before we sign off here. We got Arizona basketball coming up tomorrow. Arizona against California. This is another game that Arizona should absolutely roll in. You looked at it, and I know Stanford beat USC, but Stanford just doesn't match up against Arizona. There's just too many guys out there that move and look like me. Take that for what you will. But if you look at it, the one thing that I think we found out about the Tommy Lloyd era is that if a team comes in and they're physically outmatched, they are going to get beat down. They are going to get humiliated. And I just want to see that continue. You've got UCLA coming up next week, which we'll get to in a second, but you've got to be able to beat these teams and beat them handily. And that's what Arizona's been able to do with California, or with the Colorados, the Stanfords. And I expect that to be the California coming up right now. Now, one thing that you got the UCLA game coming up here Tuesday. I don't think that it's any surprise to anybody that all of a sudden UCLA is going to be able to have their home crowd there. And honestly, I'm more than okay with that. I think that Arizona basketball is good enough that you can go in anywhere right now and you can beat anybody. And I agree with what KB Thiel's saying right here. Cal can keep it close for a half or so, but if they're playing well, we'll win by 20 or so with or without Zoo. I would co-sign that right there. Cal's just overmatched. What you really want to have with the Julius Tabelas is you want him fully ready to be able to go against UCLA and Pauley. And again, I know obviously UCLA has kind of gone out of their way to not play Arizona when they could have, and to make sure that this game will have fans in it. I get it. Just admit it. That's my only thing. But now you're going in there, and I think we're going to find Arizona solved the COVID-19 problem in Southern California. That's how good we are. KB on his point as always. But that's going to be the game. We're going to find out a lot more, I think, about both teams. People say, well, Arizona hasn't played a lot. Illinois, to me, is a really, really good team, especially in that environment, and I loved how Arizona performed there. I expect Arizona to play incredibly well at UCLA, and honestly, if they play UCLA and they're full strength, I think Arizona's going to win that game. But if you wanted to put down a bet on that game, you'd want to go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Code word PHNX. As you all know, throw down $5. If your team wins, you get $280 in free plays. It's that simple. It's that easy. I already told you, take it for what it's worth, but I would go with the Packers over the 49ers. So far, I'm batting pretty well. This is where, though, you want to be able to get your money in, because if you go off next week, it's going to be Championship Sunday. Things become a lot different at that point because both these teams are evenly matched. This is the last week to be able to hop in there and really get in and get in some games where there's some mismatches in play. And I think there are some mismatches in play with some of the games that are going to be coming up here shortly. So again, check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX. All right, Arizona plays tomorrow at 1 o'clock against the Cal Golden Bears. I will be on here with the post-game show probably about 3:05, 3:10, hopefully talking about another beatdown. For Tyler Powell, you're the man. Everybody on here, Cooper, KB, the Kyler Murray bot, no thanks. But everybody else, appreciate you guys all hopping on. Gorilla Tech, for Tyler Powell, who's not here anymore, I'm Mike Luke. Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.